ほう、向かってくるのか。逃げずにこのディオに近づいてくるのか。
近づかなきゃてめえをぶちのめせない。
ほほう。では十分近づくがよい。死ねー。うれー。無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無駄無
In this YouTube video, I'll be pretending to review a game Captain Claw, and in reality, I'll educate you on a danger to society that are furries.
Holy Jesus! What is that? What the?
My name is Horse, and today I begin the series in which I'll be reviewing games from my childhood. They range widely from amazing games to which I come back every few years, such as Ghostmaster, all the way up to I would rather be watching paint dry, this is horrible, why was this made? To make my first episode mediocre, I'll review a game that is also mediocre. Still, it was a game which I loved as a child. It had a very cartoonish vibe to it, and just like every other game that I used to play back then, was so insanely difficult that in comparison it would make Dark Souls look like Skyrim on easy. And I was brutally reminded of it when I came back to this game in my mental years. I was happy to confirm that the memories weren't false. This game, thanks to its graphical design, looks great, even to this day. Also, thinks it's unfair, unbalanced and insane gameplay. Still makes me wonder whether CIA could have used this game as a means to torture people. Replaying this game was an experience. This experience was painful and I don't want to relive it ever again. In fact, I was so fed up with this game that I abandoned this project for 9 months. By the way, I did not finish the game, so I'll be borrowing some of the footage from some madman that had actually spent his short time on this world and mastered this game. He has completed every level to 100% and even beat all the bosses without losing health. May God have some mercy on his soul. Anyway, how did it all start? Well, when I was a little schmuck, I was continuously playing the same games over and over again. And because I didn't have internet, I was forced to play what I could get my hands on. I couldn't be very picky because you see, I had only 2 choices on how I could spend my free time. The first one was to play games. Any games at all, no matter how bad, good or difficult. The other one was doing things appropriate for my age, such as spending time with my family and friends, learning how to read basic algebra, or learning history. And just look how I turned out. Well, one of the games I used to play was Captain Claw. It was developed and published in 1997 by Monolith Productions. And that's all you need to know about the background. Now we can move on to this story.
Hold on, something's coming out of here. Look, there's a bird, dude, it knows what's good. I'm telling you, I just heard it inside.
In the game Captain Claw, you play as Captain Claw. The events take place in the Flood universe, but it's thousands of years later after events of Fallout 4, when everyone mutated into a final form of a furry and decided to start over, creating a new, even worse civilization. While traveling to a furry convention, Claw is apprehended by the furry police. They sink his ship, capture his crew, incapacitate him with a rope, read him his rights and list him his crimes. In short, these are spreading degeneracy and extreme lies told to the public. They take him to a castle where he's placed in a cell. Claw is informed that he will help perform a magic trick in front of a huge crowd. The trick is called decapitation and it will be performed by the royal executioner. Well, because Captain Claw has a stage fright, he hopelessly tries to look for an escape. In a strain of luck, he finds a loose brick and behind it a note and a tiny piece of map. He takes a closer look at the note and it says,
I would like to take this opportunity to address a false allegation recently made against me on Twitter. As some of you may have seen,
and Then you realize that in this prison cell before him was Parasynical's dad, and later Parasynical himself. The note says of 9 gems that you need to collect, which is the goal for the game, and so the journey begins, where Claw in cold blood kills everyone without any mercy, just because he's found some old piece of paper. Being driven by adrenaline, he kills the people that captured him, ventures to the woods to find and kill his ex, and from there in a blood frenzy, he goes on a killing spree and murders anyone he can get his hands on. After defeating the last boss, Claw places collected gems on a pedestal and it summons a princess. She congratulates you and says that it's just a start of your new journey. She then goes on to say weird things like,
"Too many mouths, not enough to go around. The hardest choices require the strongest wills."
And then you realize that Captain Claw was Thanos all along. Because Amulet from Captain Claw and Infinity Gauntlet are one and the same thing. Yes, the story at first glance might appear to be silly and non-existent, however it's just like Bible, not meant to be taken literally. You see, Monolith Productions back in the 90s already knew what kind of people become furries. They saw the spreading degeneracy and decided to act on it. In order to educate people on danger to society that are furries, they have compiled a story which shows what's going on in a typical furry head. For example, what to us is an angry priest trying to kick the furry out of the church for wearing a fursuit. To a furry, he becomes a big daddy bear that just wants to hug him to death. Neighbor's dog abused by a furry becomes a bloodthirsty enemy. Seagulls were... they're exactly like in real life. That didn't get changed. Bosses are other furries belonging to a different subgroup.
No!
And finally, the super powerful magic amulet represents the ultimate goal of turning everyone into a furry, pronouncing non-consensual intercourse legal, and living in a degenerate utopia. This is why whenever you see a real-life furry, run.
Whoa, you're being really loud.
How was playing Captain Claw like?
The main objective of the game is to kill everyone, and it means that you'll be doing a lot of fighting. Claw isn't a regular pussy though, so on your way to your mindless slaughter, you'll be choosing from using a wide selection of his kung fu and wrestling moves, turning his flintstock pistol that normally shoots one bullet at a time into a literal machine gun, channeling his inner chi into a Dragon Ball destruction disc, and last but not lastly, use his secret Middle Eastern magic trick, throwing a little stick of dynamite. To make your gameplay a little more varied, the game throws at you 3 types of power swords that shoot fire, ice, or electricity. The difference between them is like choosing between Coke and Pepsi. They all do the same thing: instantly evaporate everyone in a straight line. Next, you have a catnip. Whenever you get one of them, it means that nearby there's a hidden area to which you can get only by having the power up. It's never placed just because, there's always a reason for that. For a short period of time, it gives you ability to jump higher so you can get into the secret areas, and it makes you do more damage. You've also got invisibility and invincibility, and if you get bored of your tiny little stick of dynamite, you can always grab a large barrel full of TNT and show everyone the power of your big black barrel. And well, that would be about everything that you can use in the game. So who will you be fighting? Mainly there are about 3 to 4 different opponents per map that change every level. One of the more prevalent enemies are Pavlov's rats trained to shoot cannons in a repeating pattern, a pest who's in the game just to make your experience that much more miserable, Daddy Bear that will help your internal organs get warmer by squeezing them a little closer to each other, Woman, a literal Dark Souls player wannabe that can roll out of your attacks, and lastly there's a
cat. We're gonna talk about him later.
There are many more enemies, and in short, half of them are your usual furries, and the other half looks like it came from a very stimulating doujin. One thing Monolith did right are the visuals. They're nothing really outstanding or mind-blowing, but they really do look solid, even after all these years. Animations are detailed and smooth, cartoonish stylistics are consistent, beautiful, and timeless. That's why Captain Claw doesn't look dated because of these core components. There are simply no 3D graphics, which would look laughably bad today. This story is mostly told by cutscenes and they look fine for what they are, especially when you consider that they were made before 70% of YouTube user base was even born. Cutscenes are on par with the game visuals, nothing too crazy. There are in total 14 levels and each one of them has a unique scenery. Every 2 levels are in the same theme, with the second one being oriented more towards a darker feel. For example, level 11 features caves with lots of light and a beautiful fantasy rendition of crystal caves. Level 12, however, looks exactly like the type of dungeon where you would expect to see iDubbbz making another content cop, this time on himself. Honestly, graphics are one of the 2 reasons why you continue playing with pleasure. The other one is developing masochistic tendencies and drawing pleasure from this. Do you enjoy looking at these graphics? Well, too bad. Monolith hates people who buy their games, so they decided to obstruct its visuals with an overlay that can and will take up your entire screen, so you can't tell where the enemies or even your character most of the time. They did that just to make sure you wouldn't feel too happy while playing the game. Even though you can disable this in the options, I don't know why it's an option and not a default. What's even more infuriating is that the game is locked to about 360p and you can barely see what's on the screen. What do you do when you want to change resolution in a normal game? You head to the settings and change it there to something more appropriate, but not in this case, oh no. Because for most part this game is also a platformer, Monolith thought that changing the resolution would be considered cheating, because you could see where you meant to jump. You wanna change resolution? Type in the cheat. Oh, what's this? You're using cheats? Well, you can say goodbye to save points, because they won't work anymore. At this point I am surprised that this option is available at all, even by cheating. And what are these save points? You step on a flag, it goes up, it saves your progress. If you die, it respawns you. It's that oh wait, there's more. You run out of lives? Oh well, good luck replaying that level from the beginning, because these grey flags mean nothing. To really save your game, you have to reach the golden flag. There are only 2 flags per level, and once you manage to get to them, the game will graciously allow you to save the game, and this time for real. You're still gonna need the grey saves, because this game requires some of the most precise timings I have seen. Oh yeah, it's time to talk about platforming. Have you noticed yet that Claw can jump? You're gonna do a lot of jumping, and right here I'll advise you to prepare yourself a new keyboard. Even though I don't have the heated gamer moments and practically never get angry at a game, this one is an exception. There aren't just the areas where you have to jump with pixel perfect accuracy, there are also automatic crossbows, automatic cannons, spikes, a literal pull of shit. If you're hit by them while in midair, you lose your momentum and you'll fall down most of the time on spikes. Levels are composed of special interactives, such as souls of sinners condensed into a beam, ladders, ropes on which you swing, air vents with pressure high enough to launch you several meters high, shelves that magically appear and disappear in cycles, floating boards, platforms which will start breaking as soon as you step on them, and lastly, there are massive black holes, each one weighing twice the mass of our sun, which conveniently warp the spacetime around you to teleport you into rooms filled with even more platforming. The difficulty of these special rooms vary from simply collect the treasure to you're gonna need a bot programmed with every move to perfection to get to the end. What do you get when you combine the screen blocking overlay with already barely visible platforms that appear for 2 seconds? Medicine prescription for your newly developed anger issues. There will be side routes that you can take and where you will most likely die. Then why would you go there, you may ask? The answer is money. What can you buy with the treasure you collect? Absolutely nothing. All you get is an extra life which you won't need at all in early levels, but will be desperate for in the later parts of the game, so you'll be chasing after a single coin. How do you get this treasure? You randomly find it throughout the level, or you beat the senseless shit out of someone and take their possession for yourself, since dead people usually don't have a lot of uses for valuables. The loot is made of holy crosses robbed from Catholic churches by Spaniards, legendary crystal skulls straight from Aztec civilization, non-edible golden coins, and many more. Every piece has a different number of points, and the amount of treasure on a single map ranges from 5 to 500. Skulls, being the most valuable, usually are placed in the most difficult places to get to, but are rewarded with a massive boost of points. On the other hand, coins are the most common type of treasure you can collect, and they're basically everywhere. To collect every piece of treasure, you would have to really go out of your way. It's not even about getting to the loot that's placed in the difficult places to reach. It's about loot dropping out of enemies at random speed and random directions. When you kill one of them and gold falls onto spikes or lava, the points are gone. Thanks, Monolith. Yes, the game is very difficult. Some of it is due to the challenging platforming, while other is unfair bullshit and I unquestionably hate it. Let me explain. Take your pistol, dynamite and melee attacks and throw it into the garbage bin, because all of them can be blocked. The only viable weapon is Magic Claw. It acts like Element Sword and it's the only way to get anywhere near final boss without losing what's left of your sanity. Now it would be a good time to introduce you to the cat. He will block your shit with a kitchen knife, dodge out of your attacks, spam you with his attacks to your death. And he rarely appears alone. But do you know what he cannot counter? Being thrown into a warm bath of about 1200 degrees. What's the issue here? Well, they can block my attacks, but I can't block anything. You either use Magic Claw for a guaranteed kill, or you take damage for playing by the rules of the game. This is a bad game design. What I have the biggest bone to pick with is a lack of clarity. You simply don't know if your pistol shot will be blocked or not. Is the opponent going to attack, dodge or pounce on me? Can't tell because it's completely random. There is no indication where they're gonna block or dodge, and they can block even while facing the other way. Others can vanish and reappear behind you like in Japanese anime. Look at the first enemy that can shoot bullets. His projectiles are clearly visible and slow enough to give you time to react. Now look at the enemy from level 10. You can see his bullets? Good. He shoots 2 of them now at 2 different heights, and he can dodge your bullets. The developers knew exactly what they were doing when they decided to add in a End Your Life button into a pause menu, tempting you to press it in the hopes that it will work in real life and release you from the pain. Captain Claw is divided into 2 terms of level completion. It means that every odd numbered level has a piece of map at the end, while the even numbered has a boss fight. Some of the encounters are fairly easy, like the first one, where it's a test of how fast you can keep spamming your attacks. Others, however, are so nonsensical that the only way to win is to exploit them. For example, the only viable way to win with Wolvington is to attack, duck to dodge his attack, perfectly get up and attack again to repeat the cycle until he dies. If you miss the timing, he's gonna change his attack pattern and hit you, and I tell you, if he hits you 3 times, you're done. So, to win, you have to exploit him and make him stuck in animation loop. Here is a handy list of tips on how to deal with this bullshit. Remember how I said that increasing your resolution is cheating? Here, the boss is placed on the other side of the room. To get to him, you have to hit his parry 3 times, which will cause the platforms to come together and allow you to pass. It's clearly visible, right? You can see him and the parrot. Yeah. This is the increased resolution compared to the original. You can't see the boss, neither the parrot when it starts to charge at you, so you either develop extremely fast reflexes or keep spamming the pistol. But when you do that, the boss will start firing at you his gun even faster. Some of the boss fights are interesting, but I won't spoil them for you. Go and find out on your own. Or don't. It's not like I can tell you what to do. Or can I? Subscribe. This game also has a level editor. If you think you can do better than the developers themselves, you can go right ahead and create your very own levels, which you can share with others. They vary from pretty good to you're pretty bad. There used to exist multiplayer, but it's been dead for years. However, there is some footage on YouTube of people playing through Hamachi. Supposedly, it could handle up to 64 players, and you might think, wow, it sounds like a battle royale. And then you see the footage and you understand. This is something like Super Mario Bros. Battle Royale. Every player plays the same level at the same time. However, you can't interact with them. You can see only their position and their score. 10 out of 10 would play again.
You can't scare me, you slant-eyed yellow bastard! Take him to...
Play Captain Claw.
No! No, not...
Captain Claw.
No! No, please! Anything but that! No!
If you hate yourself, want to develop anxiety and anger issues, enjoy being in misery and psychological pain, then this game is for you. Captain Claw isn't a good game. The title has been lost to the grains of time for a good reason. You see, this isn't the worst thing in the world when you take your time and soak in the atmosphere. If it were to be released today with the same graphics, different level design and a brand new gameplay, it could meet some success, because no matter how much you mangle a 2D side-scroller, there's always going to be someone who will eat it up and ask for more. Some things are really easy to tweak. Why not introduce a new mechanic in a level, change the portals from being a certain death traps
I've only got one shot at this.
to a challenge to see how well you have learned these mechanics. Since I would like to see what happens on the screen and to be able to save, I've tried to look for an alternative. What I found is a remaster made by a fan, and it functions. The original game is locked to 360p resolution. And to even increase it to the maximum of 1280 by 1080, you have to use cheats. This is where I recorded my 2560 by 1080p gameplay. But before you go and download this masterpiece, I must warn you, the remaster isn't finished, and as far as I'm aware, the further development of the project has been abandoned, so any bug that is in there, it's in there forever. Just like your hunting memory of you peeing your pants in elementary school and being laughed at by every classmate, it will never go away. What's more important is that you can only play up until level 10. None of the bosses have the special attacks, you can't pick up and throw anything, and at some point I kept missing a platform, and because I had 0 lives, I had to restart the level every time I died. Then, after doubting my gamer skills, a closer inspection made me realize that the platform was bugged and I was softlocked. The platform's hitbox was moved so high that I physically couldn't reach it. To even finish the level, I had to exit the game, snoop around in config files, and manually change my jump height, and then when I came back to the game, I had a sudden realization. Who knew that when you're given a power to completely ignore the rules and turn yourself into a flying, invincible god, you could actually enjoy yourself while playing the game. Once you obtain the forbidden powers, the game surprisingly becomes really fun. And because you're a cat and have Shell's Boots DLC pre-installed when you're born into this world, you don't have to worry about crushing every single bone in your body when you fall from the planetary orbit. That's why you see me flying through the levels. Obviously, you're not meant to do that, and some would even call this cheating, but to be perfectly honest, I don't care. Abusing my powers by jumping over enemies, avoiding meaningless combat by launching myself into a stratosphere and reaching every hidden spot is just too satisfying to make me go back to the mortal ways. Mr. Crypta, which remade this game in Unity, had decided that the front layer that obstructs your vision should be permanent. Well done. The remaster isn't perfect, but hey, either you take this or you barely see what's on the screen, it's your decision to make. Also, I was surprised to find a still active community. Virtually nobody remembers it anymore, with exception for a few. And those few hollow, empty shells of a human being who do will claim that it's a masterpiece. Don't listen to these maniacs. If you do and decide to play this game, even enjoy it, in the nearest future you might start admiring Captain Claw. After all, he's such a strong and masculine character. Then you will start asking yourself funny questions like, how would it feel to be like Captain Claw? With that one innocent question, without even knowing, you're taking one inevitable step closer towards acquiring your very own fursuit. Once you have it, you won't even know when you started looking at your neighbor's dog in a more aggressive way. Eventually, you're gonna want to hide from your family for a while to dodge very uncomfortable questions, such as,
why is the neighbor's dog crying all the time? Do you know anything about his rectal prolapse?
Why is there catnip all over the house?
What is this autistic meowing coming from your basement room at midnight?
Your family would never understand motivation behind your actions. They are far too simple-minded. You did what you did because you had to assert dominance. This is why you will have to leave your family house and continue living on your own. In 5 years, you will look at yourself in a mirror with disgust and notice that your body isn't quite like it used to be. It's covered in fur and you've doubled your weight since then. This will mark the day when you realize that it all started with one innocent playthrough of Captain Claw. Thank you all for watching and stay tuned. I'll be releasing even more mediocre videos in the future. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving me some of your hard-earned money or subscribe so that in the future I could build a huge channel, chill out and be sponsored by Raid or NordVPN. That's all for today. Stay a productive citizen and try not to waste away your life in front of a screen. See you in the next video.